How did I go from F's and D's to A's and B's in one semester? Some of you have some students that are struggling academically, and if you're watching this and it's the beginning of the year, I think it's important that you teach your students some really important habits so that they can succeed in school and graduate prepared for work and life. You and I both know that school in a lot of ways is like a game. And some kids play that game really well. They know the rules, they know the expectations, and they know how to comply to those rules, comply to all those expectations, and they do well. And then there are other kids who don't know how to play the game that well. And I want to teach you several habits that helped me learn how to play the game of academics well, so that I could pick up my grades and graduate and go to college and get my master's degree and get my PhD. But just before I share those things with you, I want to introduce myself to you. My name is Dr. Manny Scott, and I was a high school dropout. I once earned a 0.6 GPA. I was a terrible student. I had a lot of trauma in my background, and yet I was able to overcome all of those things. I returned to school, picked up my grades, became the first person in my family to graduate from high school, went to college, got a master's degree, got my PhD. And now I'm on a mission to help as many people improve not only the quality of their own lives, but the lives of others. I'm here to help students. I want to help teachers who work with students that need extra help. And so I want to encourage you to like this video, subscribe to this channel, comment if you have any questions, put them in the space below. All right, so habits that help me pick my grades up. First thing I did in the morning when I woke up was I decided that I was going to have a good day. I decided that I was going to give my best that day. Another habit I had to learn was to get enough sleep at night. So I used to stay up all night playing video games, smoking weed, acting a fool, running the streets, and I'd go to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And so when it was time to wake up for school, I was too tired. And when I did go to school, I was too tired to even pay attention. So one of the most important things you can do to help your students is encourage them again and again to get enough sleep, get at least 7 or 8 hours of sleep at night, so that they can be rested and fully present in your class. Another habit I had to learn was I had to motivate myself to go to school every day. Sometimes I didn't feel like going to school. I used to ditch school 60 to 90 days every year from 4th to 9th grade. And I would make up any excuse during those years to not go to school. Man, my head hurts, my stomach hurts, I'm too far behind, someone's gonna know I'm stupid, man, my clothes are dirty. I would find any reason to not go, and I fell further and further behind. But when I wanted to pick up my grades, I had to find some kind of motivation. And so one motivation for me was I wanted to play sports. I wanted to play football, I wanted to run track. And in order to do that, I had to have a 2.5 GPA. And so I knew that if I didn't go to school, I wasn't going to be able to play sports. I wasn't going to be able to play football or run track. And so that motivated me to get myself together to go to school. It's just a prerequisite. If I want to play sports, I got to get good grades. I got to go to school. I got to be attentive in class. Another habit I learned was to go to class early. So early on, I used to straggle. I would go to class. I would be late sometimes. I'd get a tardy slip. I'd get sent to the office because I was so late. I'd get to class early so I could prepare myself to be present and attentive to whatever the teacher was talking about, to whatever was going on in class that day. Another habit I had to learn was learning to be fully present when I was in class. I used to play a lot. I love to laugh. I love to clown around. I love to joke with my friends, but it was hurting my grades. And so I decided, man, rather than talking about my boy's mama, rather than roasting somebody or just playing or drawing or acting a fool, I was going to be fully present in class. And so I would save my jokes. I would compartmentalize my silliness for like lunchtime or for practice or for a time outside of class. But when I was in class, I learned to focus. I wanted to be fully present. I learned that if you make everything in your life a joke, eventually life will make a joke out of you. Encourage your students to be present. Tell them they can like really joke and play around and be silly outside of class. Like learning can be fun. Don't get me wrong. There are moments for that. But I'm talking about the people who always like they show up to class unfocused. They're on their phones. They're distracted. And they're just not present, and they're missing out on the information. They're missing out on learning opportunities. And so encourage your students, encourage them to show up and be fully present, that you're going to give your best, but it's not going to help them if they don't show up with their best. So encourage your students to show up as their best and show up as your best as well as an educator. You show up, make sure you're prepared, make sure you're giving your best so that when they show up, and you have an opportunity to grab their attention, that you're really prepared for that moment. Another habit I had to learn was prioritizing my homework. After school, I wouldn't get on the phone. I wouldn't try to talk to girls. I wouldn't turn on the TV. As soon as I got home, I'm just gonna do my homework. Sometimes I do it right after school. I would stay on campus and sit in my teacher's classroom or in the library, and I would finish my homework just to be done with it, so that I could enjoy the rest of my day, so that I could go to practice or go out on a date with a girl or hang out with my homeboys or whatever. But I prioritized my homework, and that made a huge difference in my grades. It made a huge difference in my test scores. Another thing I did was I started studying for my quizzes and tests. I would review work I'd been doing in that class. In my notebook, I would go through my notes and review what we'd covered, review the new information, review a theory, review whatever the subject matter was, and I would just go over it, and I would like give myself little quizzes in my head. And sometimes I even created flashcards like this could be a question, or this is the term, what does it mean? And on the back of the flashcard, I would put the answer. But the point was, I prepared for quizzes and tests by dedicating some focused time to just study, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes more, to just really study and prepare for my tests. That was huge for me. And another habit, I got two more. This is the second to last. This one was huge for me. I used to think that I was stupid. Whenever I didn't understand something, I'd feel like I was dumb. But I learned that I needed to ask for help if I didn't understand something. So some of your kids, they're afraid that you're gonna think they're dumb. Some of them already think they're dumb. Some of them already think they're slow. And they're afraid to ask for help in front of the class because someone's gonna make fun of them. They're afraid to come to you privately because they don't even know how to interact with an adult comfortably. They don't know how to ask for help. Everything's a joke and they're awkward and uncomfortable. But I had teachers help me kind of get over that and let me know, like, really the only dumb question is the one you don't ask. But encourage them, just come ask me for help. I'm here. I'm here to help you. And be open when you say that. Be present when you say that. Be inviting when you say that. I know you're tired. I'm tired. I know you're tired. But make yourself available. Just communicate that you're really interested in their learning. And several of your kids will, I believe, take advantage of that. I did. And the last thing was persevere. I had to learn the habit of perseverance. I had to learn that when I failed a quiz, that I wasn't a failure. When I failed a test, I wasn't a failure. When I made a mistake, that I wasn't a mistake. I had to learn to just keep showing up and keep trying my best. Teach your kids little successes lead to big successes. If you show up to class early, that's a little success. If you're fully present in class, that's a little success. If you're getting enough sleep at night, that's a little success. If you're motivating yourself to go to school every day, that's a little success. If you make your bed in the morning before you do anything else, that's a little success. If you are studying for your quizzes, little success. If you're asking for help, that's a little success. All these little successes lead to a bigger success. And it takes perseverance to get those little successes. And in the same way, little failures lead to big failures. If you don't do the little things, if you don't get enough sleep, if you're not going to class early, if you're not present in class, if your students aren't asking for help, if they're not doing their homework or prioritizing their homework, if they're not giving their best every single day, those little failures eventually lead to big failures. So encourage your students to have little successes every single day. And these are the little successes that I think can really help them go from F's and D's to A's and B's. Teach your students that little successes lead to big successes. All right. Again, my name is Dr. Manny Scott, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear if there are other habits that you think I missed, habits that helped you improve academically, habits that you've seen others incorporate into their lives that improved their lives. All right. Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell, and I will talk to you next Friday. Have a great weekend.